If you're struggling with getting a consistent elevated hospitality experience instilled in your restaurant, and you're wondering, I keep telling my staff what to do and they just don't seem to get it, and they won't do what I'm asking them to do, or they're not consistent, or when I leave, everything changes. I want to ask you something first, is that what are you doing to instill hospitality, right? Because hospitality is an ideology. It can be subjective, but what are they actually doing to give hospitality? Now, if they're being really nice, that's not hospitality, right? That's just really nice service. Being really nice is not hospitality. It's a mild form of it in the most basic way possible, but it's only the beginning. And if you're doing that, you're just not gonna be doing enough. But how do we give elevated hospitality, right? Well, I'm gonna teach you a little secret, a little hack, okay? This is a little strategy that you can use to get your staff to deliver hospitality at every single table. But it involves a little upfront work, a little development, and a little bit of management, but this is how you take things to the next level. Now, what I'm talking about is wins. W-I-N-S, wins, okay? You gotta get a win at every single table. That's a main focus of yours. You should be talking about this all the time, okay? Talking about every single day, talking about your staff members all the time, preaching about it, asking them how they got wins, telling them to share how they got wins, asking them why they're not getting wins, asking them what they're gonna do to get wins, motivating them to get wins. It should be something that's an absolute cornerstone of your culture, okay? But what are wins? That's what I always get asked. Everyone's asking me, hey Preston, what are wins? Hey Preston, what is that thing you just said about the thing you spelt out? Wins, right? Wins are basically a hospitality win, okay? That's what a win is. Hospitality win. And that means you're exceeding the guest expectations when they least expect it. It's as simple as that. You're exceeding the guest expectations when they least expect it. So what does that mean exactly? How do we break that down even further, right? Well, exceeding the guest expectations when they least expect it, I frame it like this, or I always use this analogy, right? If you're dating someone and your significant other buys you a gift on your birthday, are you happy? Of course you're happy. That's really nice of them. Thank you very much. But I was expecting that, right? But if you're having a long day at work and you're super stressed out and you're having a really bad day, maybe an end of a really bad week, and you go home and you're just completely burnt out, and your significant other just pushes a gift across the table and says, hey, I got you this just to show you that I love you. That is a win, right? They exceed your expectation when least expected. That gift has a significantly bigger impact than the gift on your birthday. Do you like the gift on your birthday? Do you appreciate it? Of course, but getting that gift when you're not expecting it has a bigger impact. It just hits differently. So we want to focus on getting wins, exceeding the guest expectations they least expected. If it's their anniversary and we bring them out an anniversary dessert, they're expecting that, right? If they wait a long time for their table and we give them a glass of champagne, they're expecting that, right? Still great to do, but they're expecting it. How can we exceed their expectations when they least expect it? And I always use this story as an example, right? Because it's simple, right? It doesn't cost a bunch of money. It's not about giving things away, and it's not about doing overly extravagant things. You hear Will Guidara and Danny Meyer, who are fantastic, and they make points here, but they're like, oh yeah, my manager heard that like someone forgot their pills, and so I had my manager drive down or go down and get the pills out of their house, and we got their key, and they drove 3 hours. That's great. And those are phenomenal stories, and they're great examples. But what can we do on a daily basis, right? What can we do realistically to exceed the guest expectations when they least expect it? And so a simple story is this. I went to a really nice Mexican restaurant and I got their carnitas. The carnitas came with a special side of salsa, which I thought was like my favorite salsa. I absolutely loved it. I kept asking the server for more because they put it in this little tiny ramekin, and I was basically drinking it. The server was super polite. She got it for me when I asked. She was very nice about it, and she was fast about it, but that was what I expect, right? I expect that at the very least. But what she did to exceed my expectations when I least expected is I asked for a box to go with the carnitas. She gave me a box, but when she boxed up my food, she also brought me out a big side of that salsa with a side of chips and said, I know you love this salsa. This is for you, gift from me. Go home and enjoy this, right, later on. Now that exceeded my expectations when I least expected it. I did not expect her to do that. It was so thoughtful. And guess what? It cost them $1.50, $1.25, maybe $1, and it hit home, right? I instantly wrote a review. I've been telling my friends and family about this place ever since. I've gone back multiple times. I'm telling you this story. Imagine how many other people I've told the story to. Now that's what we want to go for, is wins. Now, it's not enough just to do them. We have to manage them. We have to make it a part of our culture. If you just go around your restaurant and talk about the story, they're never gonna get it, right? We need to go and talk about it. Pre-shifting, every day. How are we getting wins? When did you get a win? When's the last time you got a win? What are you gonna do to get a win? Why haven't you got a win yet? Let's talk to them. Let's have a board, put a whiteboard in the back, and every time someone gets a win, like that chip story, the chips and salsa story, write that in the back. Hey, I had a guy who absolutely loved that salsa. I brought him a giant side of chips and salsa. I had X, Y, and Z, and you start making all these lists of wins, and suddenly when you come in, you're like, wow, I can just, all I have to do is figure out the perfect opportunity to execute one of these, and I can exceed expectations, or at least expect it, right? It becomes gamified, it becomes a culture. New people come in, they're like, oh my gosh, look at this board of ideas. And then you go into pre-shift, everyone's talking about wins, your manager's talking about wins, you're talking to each other about wins, you're gamifying it, it becomes a part of the culture. You're living and breathing it, right? You no longer have to telling your staff over and over again, hospitality, hospitality, come on, above and beyond, do this, do that. It simplifies things to simple science, right? We're here to get wins. And if you're not doing it, you're gonna be called out. We're gonna talk to you about it. And if you are, you're gonna be rewarded. But we're gonna talk about it all the time. We're gonna expect it from you. And so that's what wins are all about. So if you can do that, if you can put a system in place to get wins, and you can encourage your staff to do it, and you spend the next 3 months pushing this, I promise you, you'll see results at the end of that 3 months.